Yes, everybody, this is Full Time Devils. I'm Stephen Howson. This is Alex Hilton. We've trawled the streets and somehow managed to find a City fan to come and join us on a huge debate. We've also got Rob because somebody didn't show up. Thank you, Rob, for joining in and saving a day. And we've got Statman Dave joining us as well. So thank you to you guys for joining us. This is the first of our Manchester Derby content that we've got coming out. We've got all sorts of stuff coming out. We've got a big debate. We've got a bit of a battle between Esteemed Company and Gaz. That gets interesting, so make sure to stick around for that. Me and Webby are on a podcast going to be bullying a blue later, so make sure to tune in for that one. We're definitely going to be doing that. I don't know whether that's on the cards or not, whatever. And then we've got the previews and we've got everything else coming out, so make sure to keep it locked to Full Time Devils for all of that. Now, we have got a City fan on here, and unfortunately, the format that we do these huge debates, we get an opposition fan on and we have a bit of a chat to them, don't we? And then we go through all the things why United are better than the other team that we're playing. And using that format, it's not really paying off for us this time round, is it? But we are sticking to the format and we are sticking true to it. So you've got a bit of a neutral house near in the neutral corner. I'm from Manchester, like the 7/8 of United fans of this city are. So I'm going to be the neutral guy here as we go through all of these different topics. We're going to talk about Mourinho and Guardiola. We're going to talk about past Derby Day memories. We're going to be talking about who's got a better player between the two sides, and we're going to get into our predictions as well. So, Alex,
Yep.
I'm going to come to you first. How's Stockport this time of year?
It's looking pretty good. You know what? I think like most of Manchester, we're feeling pretty good. All of East Manchester is feeling pretty good about this Manchester derby. We're feeling pretty good about the league. We're feeling pretty good about the Champions League. We're feeling pretty good about the way we're playing. It is a great time to play Manchester United. I'm looking forward to it. Top scoring team in English football against the most defensive team in English football. The unstoppable force versus the immovable object.
Right. What does a rivalry mean to you? Past Derby Day memories. What's your favourite derby? Don't say the 6-1.
Of course it's the 6-1 at House.
You had 7 shots on target in that game.
Yeah, I know. We put them all in, didn't we? So it's all gone pretty well for us. Against apparently the best goalkeeper in the world, David De Gea as well. 6 out of 7.
Sometimes you have an off day.
Yeah, sometimes, quite often, sometimes. No, I think it's pretty good. I think generally I've been quite lucky that in my lifetime, I think the first one I sort of remember was the 3-1 at Main Road. We beat you 4-2 at Etihad. I think in like 2014, 3-0 at Old Trafford. Ben Jarney scoring twice at Old Trafford. I've got a few fond Derby Day memories. Don't get me wrong, there's one or two that always slips up. Rashford scoring at the Etihad, I'll give him that.
That was a great game.
That was a horrible one because you saw that coming before it happened. It was just so in the script. And fair play, United won that one. But you know what? I've had some good Derby Day memories and it's always a good game. And it's
No, it isn't. What you want about? It's not always a good game. It's tense. It's nervous. It's horrible. I don't really remember ever having an enjoyable derby. It's just like you have to just get through this bleeding thing. Even when you lot were complete and utter dog shit, you could still turn up and pull a result out for them.
Yeah, I think it's probably why. I think it's possibly because I think Manchester City, certainly in my lifetime, I think it's always been something that we gee ourselves up for it. And it can work both ways, and this is why it could be such a massive game for United, especially because as the chasing team in the league, if you do us, it could like derail our system, and you could kind of like that. But like for us as well, like it has been a turning point for us in the past, and it has brought us some good form. But also for us, we could go 11 points clear this weekend. Monday morning, we could wake up 11 points clear, in form. Probably the hardest game we're going to play this season away at Old Trafford. And that, for me, could be good enough to put us on title to win the league. Sort it all out, win it by February.
I don't feel good sitting here. Rob, give us your Derby Day memories, mate. What does the Derby mean to you?
The two main Derby Days that I remember were the one with the Rooney bicycle kick from 2011, was it? I think it was. And that, like, just watching that and just, like, the number of times I tried to imitate that goal, like, in the following weeks, that was a good day. And then also the whole Rashford fairy tale, where, like, I was actually just saying to like my mates, like, I'm telling you now, Rashford, like, before the game, Rashford will score. He will score, and like, it was such a perfect goal, just
by a Mancunian. When was the last time you had one of them in the squad? David, what's your Derby Day memories, brother?
Sorry, last night, Phil Foden.
Well, you know, the bicycle kick, the Owen goal, they're all great memories. But the one I want to talk to you guys about is the 4-2 at Old Trafford, Louis van Gaal's Manchester United. Because two of my favourite United players combined, didn't they, Stephen? Ashley Young on that left wing and Marouane Fellaini at the back post. But for me, that was a real high point of a low season where United had really struggled through that season. I think that was the second game in a run of 6 games that United went on to win all those games, and it was a big result because Louis van Gaal's Manchester United was an absolute rubbish Manchester United if we go and look back on it. And City, you had Aguero, you had a lot of good players in there, and to get a result with Young, with Smalling, with Fellaini in a side where United have looked so poor that season, but they pulled it out on Derby Day, and it was a quality win for Manchester United.
Right, managers. This is the big talking point. I mean, a couple of years ago when Guardiola was and Mourinho came to United, everybody was just like, wow, the spotlight is now firmly on Manchester and a little bit on Stockport. So Guardiola versus Mourinho, it's probably the most heavyweight managerial clash in world football, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Unbelievable. Yeah. David, who's the better manager and why?
Well, it's Mourinho, isn't it? He's won more Champions Leagues.
Thank you.
Simple as that. We don't even need to talk about it.
Is that all you're going to give us, David?
I think Mourinho's shown that he can do it in a number of different situations. I think what Guardiola did at Bayern Munich wasn't great. I think there was too much tinkering. There was too much use of this, some parts of the philosophy that I don't really agree with. For example, using someone like David Alaba in loads of different positions. He was the best left back in world football when Guardiola took over, and then he wasn't when Guardiola left, which was a bit of a mistake because Guardiola really needs those fullbacks. I think at City, either he or the board didn't evaluate City's squad last season, and City massively underachieved. What Mourinho's done at the likes of Inter Milan, the likes of Real Madrid, he's done it everywhere. Again, last season, the Europa League. Yeah, it's the Europa League, but it's a big trophy. It's a European trophy, and he's already done that there. But you think in the Porto side as well. If, we look back in maybe 10 years when Guardiola's done this sort of jumping around and he's gone to Italy and he's gone to Portugal and he's gone here, he's gone there, he's managed Argentina, then we'll have a better view about how both managers are when you go head to head. But at the moment, Mourinho's just done it more in more different places with more different sides. I think they both spend money. I think they're both, in a way, checkbook managers. They both spend money to win titles, but the level of performance that they get after they spend that money is very, very impressive. They're both fantastic managers, and it's going to lead to a very exciting game at the weekend.
Robert, who do you reckon's best out of the two?
Well, like over a season, they're probably about level. But if you're picking a manager for one game, you'd pick Mourinho over Guardiola because Mourinho has a backup plan. Guardiola, he's never seemed to be able to pull out a result, by changing tactics. He'll keep the same tactic for the entire 90 minutes, and if it doesn't work, well, it hasn't worked. Whereas Mourinho will try and change tactic if after 70 minutes United does say losing 1-0, it's still a 1-1 draw or whatever in a fixture. Where Mourinho will try and change something to win the fixture, whereas Guardiola has always kept the same sort of tactic of his his tactics have evolved a bit more over the last couple of seasons. But in terms of a game, over the course of a game, his tactics don't change. It's relatively similar all through the match, whereas Mourinho will try and change it up to try and get a result out of the game.
Alex, one of the major criticisms of Jose Mourinho is that he often doesn't have his own philosophy, whereas Guardiola quite clearly does, and he often adapts what he's doing to suit the team that he's playing. Do you see that as a positive or a negative?
To be fair, I'm going to perhaps draw controversy. I'm sure there'll be a lot of City fans who might have tuned in to kind of see what we talk about. My disappointed look. I do. One of them. There's a lot of things to criticise Jose Mourinho for, but something I think you can't criticise him for. It's been adaptable, and I think that is something. I think there's no shame in playing counter-attacking football if that's going to win you a match. Personally, I love the way that Guardiola plays, but there's no point playing all-out attack. You're going to lose the game 1-0. I think Guardiola. Maybe that is an advantage that Mourinho has. I don't think that's the criticism. I think as well saying that Guardiola doesn't change his game plan. Just last night in the Champions League, we did play a B team against Shakhtar Donetsk, but we played a certain way first half. There were serious changes. We took a holding midfielder off. We went 2 up front at half time. So I think the idea that Guardiola refused to change his game plan, I don't really buy into. And I also think as well.
Do you think it's more that Mourinho prepares the team for what the opposition are going to do, whereas Guardiola probably sets his team up to exploit what the opposition could do? Do you know, in terms of an attack versus defence?
Yeah, I think to be fair, that's a fair point actually. I think that Mourinho is a bit more reactive. I think Guardiola kind of likes to lead from the front. In the same way that the league's shown this year, I think Guardiola's kind of just gone out to win it as early as he can, whereas Mourinho maybe is waiting to see how it unfolds or whatever. And
I'm not sure that's how we set out for it to go. I think it's just ended up going a little bit that way.
I'm trying to be nice because I'm on your channel and there's 3 of you and 1 of me, but yeah, I don't know, it's sort of sneak that in there. But you know what, I think with Guardiola, I think what Dave was talking about as well, about saying that he's not done it in as many countries. Yeah, granted, Mourinho who's kind of moved around a lot. But also, I think you look at the way that Guardiola looks after a squad of players. And talking about Alaba being the best left back in the world, yes, but he also managed to turn Alaba into a player that gets forward and scores goals and gets assists, can play at centre midfield and can play at 10 as well, and become that diverse
He could already
player.
do all that.
And he's doing it again with a player like Fabian Delph, a player who, dare I say, probably if he was a Manchester United squad or in a Mourinho squad, Fabian Delph wouldn't be getting anywhere near the first team. And yet, Guardiola has turned him into one of the best left backs in English football at the minute. The way that he's performing is phenomenal. You're looking at the way that he's doing with other players, what he's done with Leroy Sane, what he's doing with Phil Foden.
Hang on.
And my case in point here is you need to look at Romelu Lukaku, you need to look at Mo Salah, players that he had at Chelsea that he couldn't develop, that he ignored, and they had to go elsewhere to become the players that they are.
Hold on, Alex. Why is Fabian Delph playing? Fabian Delph's not playing because Guardiola's done this crazy transition with him turning from a centre mid to a left back. He's playing because Mendy got injured, right?
He's playing because Mendy got injured, yeah, of course. However, I think to recognise that player and mould it into a player that can perform so well at left back and looks like he's played left back his entire career, a player that I think at left back would walk into Manchester United's current squad. I said it, sorry, Ashley Young can't defend. Fabian Delph is that player, and that is surely down to the man management. I'm sorry, if Jose Mourinho was managing Fabian Delph, he wouldn't be in this squad. He would have been sold off somewhere else 6 months ago.
I don't get a lot of the praise Guardiola's getting for the development of Sane, because Sane was unbelievable, hence why you paid 50 million for him in the first place. Like, it's not like he just found a kid playing on a park against a wall, is it, and made him into this player. You paid 50 million for him. You know what I'm talking about? There was obviously some sort of talent where someone was like, yeah, I'll sign that cheque for 50 million pounds.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, but also this is world football, isn't it? And that's how much people are paying nowadays. Every time Manchester City get interested in a player, the price goes through the roof. And I think, you know what, with Leroy Sane, 50 million pounds in world football. Think of the players that have moved for 50 million pounds in the Premier League in recent years, or similar inflated prices. Leroy Sane, I'm saying it now, I'm putting it on a video, live on camera, willing to say it out there. In 2 or 3 years, I really believe we'll be talking about Leroy Sane as one of football's elite. When Messi and Ronaldo, they're into decline, in 3 or 4 years, that best player in the world is going to be up for grabs, and there's going to be 5, 6, 7 players on the planet that will be vying for that crown, and Leroy Sane will be one of them.
What's Iheanacho up to nowadays?
Iheanacho? All right, yeah, he's playing at Leicester.
Right, we're going to go to a 30-second ad break. I feel so much refreshed after that. Thank you for sitting with us over that little ad break. Right, the next thing we are going to talk about today then is who's going to finish higher in the league? Alex.
Manchester City are going to
Okay, next thing we're going to talk about is, Robert, who's going to finish higher, United or City?
If United were at the weekend, I'd say United.
Ooh.
Just because if you think about it, like, I know City played a rotated team last night, but they still lost, which shows they aren't invincible. And if United can then put doubt in City's minds by beating them, and then it also gives confidence of other teams in the league that actually City are beatable now. Even if it was, the second best team in the league at the time, it still shows that City are beatable. And that changes the mood, because currently teams are coming at City as thinking they're impossible to beat. Because they've only dropped, 2 points in the league this season.
Against Everton, weirdly.
Yeah. But they're looking at it like, City are unstoppable. But beating them at the weekend, United will just... It changes the whole outlook for other teams when they come up against City, seeing that they've actually been bested by someone. So if United win, I can generally see United topping it, because City came back against 8 points against themselves after back in 2012.
When we drew it.
Yeah, they came back. They put over 8 points in 4 fixtures after beating us, and that was because we lost our momentum and the psychological change of that game. If United pull this game for the weekend, which I think they can, then United will. I think United will win the league.
Massive call, Dave. Who's finishing higher, City or United?
Simple, it's United, isn't it? They're going to slam them this weekend in the derby. City can't defend corners this season. I don't know what they're doing. Big Marouane Fellaini, you've got Nemanja Matic, you've got a load of tall lads in there. Simple as that. We'll sit deep, we'll hit them on the counter-attack. And then who City got in 2 games' time? Tottenham Hotspur, who, in fact, ended City's run last season of wins in a row. They rested the likes of Harry Kane, Eriksen midweek in the Champions League. They're starting to get back into form. So, of course, it's going to be Manchester United. It's simple as that.
Alex, I'll let you elaborate on that a little bit. Because I want to ask you a serious question, because you have been putting an impressive string of wins together. But you've wobbled, haven't you? You've wobbled in the last few weeks.
I think wobbled is unfair. I think we've come up against a lot of sides that have just played very negatively and played just to defend and gone out for a 0-0. Southampton, I think it was the example. West Ham as well, time wasting from the first minute. And that is very, very hard to play against. And if anything, I think, look, you're all Manchester United fans, and in our lifetime, you've seen Manchester United win a lot of trophies. I'm not going to deny that.
I've seen us win everything, mate. Actually.
Yeah,
no, I mean, actually everything.
Okay, that's fine. But Howson, from that, you should know that the teams that become champions, in Robot Wars, all of it. The teams that become champions are the teams that can finish a match when they're not playing at their best. And I think
I'm not sure that I think that's a bullshit cliche.
Feyenoord, those going to show that even when we're not playing at our best, even when De Bruyne is knackered and David Silva's playing with a couple of knocks, that we can still grind out those results and we can still play with that winning mentality. And you know what? I think that is something that in 2012 and 2014, we didn't really have and we still wanted to win the league. We look more like champions elect than ever before. I don't want to count any chickens before they hatch, but the football that we're playing in the league is unbelievable. I do think football is a momentum game. I think this weekend is massive. If United beat us, it's a huge knockback, more than just 3 points. I think it psychologically as well, and obviously the boost it would give to United is incredible. But I also think we've played Chelsea away. I think that this is probably the hardest game we've got of the season. Spurs come to Manchester City in a couple of weeks. That is going to be a big game. But after that, if we can get through Christmas without dropping silly points, I think it's probably game over in the league.
I think there's a difference between this City team and the previous 2 seasons where you did start off like a rocket again in those. And you seem to be holding possession a lot further up the pitch. It didn't impress me passing it around Bravo and Stones and the centre-halves like it did last year. But I have to admit it's different this year. And I can only hope that we turn you over and show people how to turn you over. And I think Jose's good at that. Right, we got some comments from Casper. Marshall will rip apart the City defence. Does that make you feel?
Yeah, but no more than Sterling and Sane will at the other end.
You can compare styles. Norbol says you can compare styles, but comparing Mourinho to Guardiola is the same as comparing Ronaldo to Messi. They are unique in their own way. I would agree.
I like that.
Daniel McCarthy says Ashley Young is going to destroy Walker. That's going to be an interesting, actually, who pushes on furthest with the fullbacks, because both like to really get forward. Roche says, Delph, are you deluded? Ashley Young is way better. Garanch says, I'd rather play a ball carrier like Mkhitaryan rather than Herrera, even though he's out of form. I have to disagree with you on that, mate. I think you need bite and you need someone who's going to hold the line a little bit. And in these sort of games, I want players who are going to look after the ball more than anything else. Damien says, hard Brexit tackle in the first 10 minutes. And Ian says, fair play to this guy for coming in.
Cheers, Ian.
Right, the next thing we are going to talk about then is Pogba versus De Bruyne. David, is there much in this and who comes out on top?
I think there's not much in it. I think they're both wonderful players. I think Pogba this season, in the games that he's played in the Premier League, has had a huge impact for Manchester United. In the games that he's played, United won 87.5% of the games versus when he's not, 57.1%. So he's a massive part of Manchester United. The really interesting part, though, he's played 8 games for United, and United have played 7 games without him. In those 8 games, they've created 100 chances. Without Pogba, it's 49. So Pogba's a huge part of this Manchester United team, absolutely massive. And if we look at the stats per game, which is the only fair comparison, given that Pogba's played 8 games and De Bruyne has played 15, Pogba trumps him in assists, goals, take-ons, tackles. So for me, it's Paul Pogba. I understand that Kevin De Bruyne is a fantastic player, but for me, the key guy in their midfield isn't Kevin De Bruyne, it's David Silva. It's not Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne is the highlight player, the guy that's scoring the goals, he's getting the assists. But everything is knitted together by David Silva. I think Kevin De Bruyne in some of the games is on the periphery of the game. He's not really in there. You think of the Huddersfield game, his stats in the first half were absolutely atrocious. Didn't get a shot on goal, didn't create a chance, had a 58% pass accuracy compared to David Silva that was completely running the show. So for me, Pogba trumps De Bruyne, but Silva, Pogba. Now that is more of a comparison of how important both players are for their sort of, their sides in a way.
Robert, who are you going with it? One, Pogba versus De Bruyne.
Well, for me, it's quite hard to say because you could fit both of those players in the same team quite easily. Like it's not like you'd be having two people playing at exactly the same place and them running into each other. You'd play both in the same team and have a very successful team if you had both of them in the same team. I'll just go for Pogba. Like it shows how big. Like I say, Pogba is more important for United than De Bruyne is for City at this point because, like as Dave was saying with the stats of the win percentage with or without Pogba, it's a huge difference. Whereas De Bruyne, City can replace De Bruyne with someone else. It's the same as like when we compare, like it's the same as when United fans are comparing, I say, Rashford and Martial. They're sort of similar and sort of playing the same place, and having them like if you take Rashford, you put Martial instead. With De Bruyne, you can take De Bruyne out and put someone else from that City squad in there because we've got so many attacking players there. Whereas Pogba is more crucial to United as it isn't a direct person you'd put straight in for Pogba.
Robert, this is the internet. You know you're not allowed to have rational, reasoned, logical arguments. You just have to say one's better than the other. So who's your money on? There you go. Alex, I'm presuming you're probably going to go different from the two lads we've had.
Yeah, funnily enough, I'm going to say Kevin De Bruyne. Like, I think Kevin De Bruyne, again, is a top
Absolute
player.
rubbish, mate.
That statistic is unbelievable in terms of the win percentage about Pogba. I didn't realise that. I've got to write an article on the derby later. I'm definitely nicking that one, Dave.
Unbelievable.
But I think with Kevin De Bruyne, he's just such a top player. He's someone who I'm so excited every time he's on the team sheet. And every time you see Kevin De Bruyne, he's someone who you just sort of feel like he's going to create something. But weirdly, I think David Silva this season has dropped a little bit further back. He's somebody who is sort of taken on that Xavi role, and Kevin De Bruyne is the Iniesta. I think is probably the way that Guardiola looks at it. And I think it's the way that they play together. And if Pogba is that integral to Manchester United and he's missing, that makes me much more excited because I do think we could play and win the match without Kevin De Bruyne simply because of the way that Silva brings in those players, whether that is Sterling, whether that is Sane, whether that is Bernardo Silva who might play. And Kevin De Bruyne, I sort of hope that Manchester United focus on Kevin De Bruyne because it lets those other players that are so dangerous and so creative this season around him. That said, he's been part of 12 goals in the league alone this season. He is talismanic, and whilst he does get a lot of the headlines, there is a reason that Kevin De Bruyne gets the headlines, man. He's just, at the minute, form of his life and unstoppable. And I would have him in my team over Pogba, but that's because we're lucky enough to have Fernandinho and Gundogan in that team as well, and we're blessed with so much talent, man. There's players that are just so good that I forget about, man, at the minute. And
Has Gundogan left the injury room yet?
I mean, he's temporarily left the injury room, yeah, between whatever terrible thing happens to him next. But when he has played, Ilkay Gundogan is someone who hopefully gets like a good 6 to 12 month run in the team and can show what he's capable of because when he does play, it is impeccable. So I would have De Bruyne. I'm obviously massively biased. I recognise that Pogba is a top player, and I know on Blue and Rising we used to make fun of Pogba an awful lot. But for me, it's Kevin De Bruyne because I am, as a Manchester City fan, contractually obliged to say so. And also, I think that.
I think you and Robert both make really good points, actually, that City's depth in certain areas means that if you didn't have De Bruyne, there's other players that can come in and do similar, if not the same job, whereas it's so obvious. And it's not just obvious because we've lacked Paul Pogba, but United would switch our play with Pogba being out, and we could have played Fellaini, but we've had so many injuries in certain areas of the pitch that we've not even been able to replace him. We've just had to go, Herrera and Matic are the only two fit midfielders, you two play, figure it out. And we've not been able to be like, actually, let's throw Fellaini in and mix up how we're playing. If Fellaini's fit, I expect him to come in and not do the Pogba job, just being instead of Pogba. And as Dave said earlier, I think United have looked great from set pieces for the first time since like 1994. And I reckon that's probably the way we're going to win this, if we're going to win this, is to focus on those set pieces and stoke it a little bit if we have to. Right, I'm going to come to Rob first, and I'm going to ask you, and you guys can get your predictions in as well. Rob, what is your prediction for Sunday?
This is a hard one because because I was going to say 2-0 United, but I just don't see, because I reckon Big Dave could just have another unbelievable, because Dave is in good form, like Big Dave is in good form at the moment, where like we could still end up with our defense might be shocking, but Dave will still make 20 odd saves and get the victory. But I'll probably tempted to say 2-1 United.
It's a party I could get behind. David, what's your score prediction?
4.
Are we referencing it?
Dave, score prediction.
So I'm going to go 4-2 United. I think Marouane Fellaini's going to grab a double, and Ashley Young, who's Manchester United's most consistent player in the last 2 seasons. Isn't that right, Howson?
Die. Shut up, Dave. Alex, what are you going for?
I'm going to go 6-1. 6-1 City.
What? You was going to walk out of here and all?
No, I think it's going to be tight, and like you said, I think it's going to be quite a hard watch. I think it will be tense. I think the football, though, the standard football will be pretty good. I think 0-0 at half time, 2-1 Man City. 2-1 Man City.
I think 1-1. I don't know why. I just think 1-1. I hate predicting draws. I just feel like 1-1. Anyway, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to keep it locked to Full Time Devils because we've got all sorts of stuff and we're probably going to even try and make some City fans cry a little bit as well. So make sure to come back for all the Derby Day content, pre-match content and the match day content, all the rest of that stuff. You know where to find us. We'll see you in a bit.